Animal experimentation refers to the use of animals in scientific research and testing, often for the development of new products or medical treatments. This involves subjecting animals to various procedures and experiments that can cause pain, suffering, or death. Animal experimentation is a controversial issue, with arguments for and against its use, with concerns ranging from animal welfare to the effectiveness of using animals as models for human biology. The controversy surrounding the use of animals in scientific research stems from a variety of ethical, scientific, and practical concerns. On one hand, proponents of animal experimentation argue that it's necessary for scientific progress and the development of new products and treatments. On the other hand, critics argue that it's unethical to subject animals to suffering, and that there are alternative methods that can be used to achieve the same scientific outcome. Additionally, there are concerns about the limitations of animal models in predicting human response. The potential of animal testing has produced misleading results, and the practical challenges associated with ensuring animal experimentation is carried out in a humane and ethical manner. The controversial surrounding animal experimentation is ongoing and contributes to be a subject of debate and discussion among scientists, policymakers, and the general public. Animal testing should be banned. It is cruel, unethical, and unnecessary, and there are alternative methods that can be used to ensure product safety and scientific advancements without harming innocent animals. Potential solutions include the development and implementation of alternative methods in animal experimentation, the establishment of ethical guidelines to regulate animal testing, and increased education and awareness efforts to promote alternatives to animal experimentation. By addressing the ethical concerns associated with animal experimentation and promoting alternative methods, we can ensure that scientific progress is achieved while upholding the principles of compassion and respect for all living beings. There are several ethical concerns associated with animal experimentation. One of the primary concerns is that it involves subjecting animals to procedures and experiments that can cause them pain, distress, or even death. Many people view this as morally wrong and believe animals have the right to be protected from unnecessary suffering. Another ethical concern is that animals used in experimentation are often kept in cramped, unnatural living conditions that do not meet their basic needs for social interaction, exercise, and mental stimulation. This can lead to the development of abnormal behaviors and psychological distress. There are also questions about the use of animals as models for human biology. While animals may share certain psychological and genetic similarities with humans, they are not identical. This means that the results of animal experimentation may not always be applicable to humans, and that testing on animals may not always be accurately predicted how the product or treatment will affect humans. Finally, there is a concern with the morality of using animals for human benefit. Some people argue that animals have value and should not be used as mere tools for human gain, while others believe that humans have a moral obligation to use animals to improve the health and well-being of the human society. Overall, the ethical concerns associated with animal experimentation raise important questions about our responsibility to protect animals from harm and our obligation to use animals for scientific progress, and the role of alternative methods that can play in achieving both of these goals. Unfortunately, there have been numerous examples of inhumane treatment of animals in laboratories. Some of these examples include animal testing for cosmetics. In many countries, animals such as rabbits, guinea pigs, and mice are used to test the safety of cosmetic products. This involves applying the product to the animal's skin or eyes and observing the effects. This type of testing is widely regarded as cruel and unnecessary, and there are alternative methods that do not involve animal testing. There's also force feeding. In some experiments, animals are forced to ingest large amounts of chemicals or drugs in order to observe the effects. This can cause severe discomfort and pain and death. Surgical procedures. Animals are often subjected to painful surgical procedures without anesthesia in order to study the effects of a particular treatment or condition. Confinement. Animals are used in experimentation to often keep in small, cramped cages for enrichment that can lead to psychological distress, abnormal behaviors, and physical health problems. Some experiments also include poisoning the animals, where they're subjected to lethal doses of toxins or chemicals in order to study the effects of substances and see how much it takes to kill one. These are just a few examples of the many inhumane practices that have been documented in animal experimentation. It is important to note that these practices are not universal, and that many researchers and institutions work to ensure that animals are treated humanely during experiments. Nonetheless, the potential of animal suffering remains a significant ethical concern in animal experimentation. While animal experimentation has its mainstay for the scientific research for many years, There are significant limitations in using animal models to predict human responses. Some of the main limitations are the biological differences. Animals are not identical to us. In terms of their biology and psychology, differences in genetics, metabolism, and organ systems can make it difficult to use the findings from animal studies to human. There's also the environmental factors. Animals are often raised in controlled laboratory environments that differ significantly from the environments that us humans live in. This can make it difficult to generalize findings for animal studies to the real-world situations. There's also a limited sample size. Animal studies often involve a relatively small sample size, which can limit the statistical power of the research and make it difficult to draw meaningful conclusions. There's also the differences in the disease they process. While animals can be used to study certain aspects of human diseases, the specific disease possesses and responses can differ highly between species. This can make it difficult to accurately predict how a particular treatment or intervention will affect humans. Ethical concerns. The use of animals in scientific research raises ethical concerns, which can limit the types of studies that performed on the number of animals can be used. Overall, while animal studies can provide valuable information about our biological processes and potential treatments, they are not a perfect substitute for human studies. As such, there has been increasing interest in developing alternative studies in animal experimentation, such as virtual cell culture systems, and computer simulations. In recent years, there has been a growing interest in developing alternative methods of animal experimentation, particularly in the field of toxicology. Some of these alternative methods that have include the virtual and the cell culture systems, as I mentioned, and microfluidic systems, computer simulations, and human tissue models. The advantages of using these instead of animals include the cost effectiveness, improved accuracy, and conceive faster results. Overall, the development of alternative methods on animal experimentation represents an important step forward in scientific research, with benefits for both animal and welfare or human and health. While these methods are not yet perfect substitutes for animal studies, they represent a promising direction for future research. Ethical guidelines play a central role in regarding animal experimentation by ensuring that animals are treated humanely and their suffering is minimized and their use is justified. These guidelines are balanced with potential benefits and research of the welfare of animals involved. Effective ethical guidelines have been developed by several countries and organizations. For example, the European Union has established strict regulations for the use of animal experimentation research, including requirements of the animal welfare training, ethical review, and the replacement, reduction, and refinement of animal use, the 3 Rs. The U.S. National Institution of Health, NIH, has also established guidelines for the use of animals in research, emphasizing the principles of replacement, reduction, and refinement. Increased regulation for animal experimentation can have several potential benefits, such as improving animal welfare, reducing unnecessary animal use, promoting the development and implementation of alternative methods, and increasing public trust in the scientific research. By setting ethical standards for animal use, these guidelines can ensure that animal experimentation is conducted in an ethical and responsible manner. In conclusion, these animals in scientific research has long been a controversial topic due to the ethical concerns and limitations of animal models, such as predicting human responses. However, these are potential solutions to these issues, including development of alternative methods, the implementation of ethical guidelines, and the increased educational awareness. It is crucial to address the ethical concerns associated with animal experimentation and consider the suffering of well-being and animals involved. Furthermore, the use of alternative methods, such as non-animal models and technologies, can offer several advantages. To make progress in this area, it is essential to increase the attention and efforts towards alternative methods, ethical guidelines, and education. Researchers, policymakers, and public must work together to promote the use of ethical and responsible practices in scientific research and reduce the resilience of animal experimentation and ban it altogether. My sources used were About Animal Testing by the Humane Society, Alternatives to Animal Experimentation and Basic Research by ALTX, and Animal Experimentation by Google Books. There we go. I just have to add the Alaska spin at the end.
That was so good.